Galamera, Galamera, Galamera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And this morning you join me around what's left of yesterday afternoon's little impromptu TSKINOPEMPTI day Jane and I had here at the house. And in fact, we had a really, really lovely afternoon. We came out, we set the barbecue stand up out here, and we had some lovely souvlaki, and we had some sausage, and we had salad and wine and beer. Basically sat listening to my recorded show from the other day, and just sat and chilled out and had a really, really lovely afternoon. So there you go. That's what's left. That's the mess we've got to clear up this morning, get rid of it. Couldn't do it last night because we didn't want to set fire to everywhere. So there you go. That's what's left of yesterday's barbecue. And as we look out over towards the hills and see what weather we're in for, you can probably hear a bit of wind getting up at the moment. And it is rather cloudy, ominously looking cloudy. Big shout out to Gaz Collins, who's tuning in at the moment, Raffredge buddy. And it's looking, to be honest, there is a wind blowing, but it's not cold, I've got to be honest. Amanda Gregory, looking forward to what your weather forecast is going to say for today. Oh, she's already writing it now. Morning, Ginge. She says cloudy with some sunshine today. Seymour. I'm just checking to Seymour. It is cloudy with a high of 17 degrees, will feel like 21. Oh, that's lovely. Enjoy. Have a great day. Thank you very much for that, Amanda. Your job is now done. You can relax. Coming round to the back of the house, looking towards Kalamaki and also Lagana. Lovely and warm in the sun as always. Absolutely glorious. Looking nice. Looking up towards the hills, towards Sillavi in the north end of the island. A little bit cloudy in that direction, I've got to be honest. A little bit cloudy. But other than that, yeah. Yesterday was a lovely day. Not the normal TSKINOPEMPTI that we're all used to, where we're out in the streets and dancing and eating and drinking and having fun. But it was kind of nice, actually, at the house yesterday. Just Jane and I and the cats and the chickens and the geese. Well, no geese, actually. The geese are gone. But yeah, it was cool. So anyway, let's crack on with the news of today. I'm being joined by lovely, what's his name down there at the moment? Can you see him? There he is. Old Booty Boots is there, sat on my knee, and the chickens are now coming up to roost as well. So you're going to have to wait, guys, all right? Right, okay, so let's have a look at the news for today then. 5th of March, can you believe where is the time going? And it is now day 119 of the lockdown. And yeah, where has the time gone? But anyway, COVID in the last 24 hours. Right, now, things are starting to improve on the numbers, I've got to be honest. Yesterday, I did report to you that there were 2,702 new cases of COVID in Greece. Today, the numbers are down to 2,219 new cases of COVID across Greece yesterday. Anyway, that now brings the grand total up to 199,496, of which 51% are male. We'll see today if we go past the 200,000 mark in COVID since it started back last year. Also, as well, this is a little bit concerning. We did report the other day that there were 20 new cases identified at entries into the country. That number has now gone up to 21 new cases have been identified at entry into the country. As for the national statistics across the Ionian, and obviously this is what the national stats are saying, there's been 3 new cases reported in Macardo, who were in yellow. None on Kefalonia have been reported in the last 24 hours. 8 new cases in Corfu. Zakynthos reported 4 new cases on Zakynthos. However, checking the local stats for today, we've only had 3 positive cases. I think the stats have gone a little bit out of sync, actually, with what's happening on the ground again. That does happen from time to time. But we definitely have had 3 positive cases here in Zakynthos. One of those was a 47-year-old teacher at the second gymnasium, a 16-year-old student of the second of Lyceum. They were tested positive for coronavirus. And late last night, a 25-year-old woman was also reported to have gone to the hospital with mild symptoms. and was tested positive. Anyway, according to the information I have at the moment, all three of them have been sent home to home quarantine for 14 days, and obviously all their contacts are now being traced. It'll be interesting to see what the schools, what the school will be doing, where the teacher worked, and also where the student was from. So again, we'll keep our eye on the ground for that. So at the moment, that means that this month, for the month of March, we've had 16 cases of coronavirus actually positively identified here on Zakynthos. And for the year, Zakynthos has had 114 positive cases since the beginning of the year. So there you go. Those are the stats at the moment. Now, when it comes to deaths are down slightly. Yesterday, I did report there was 40 deaths across Greece from coronavirus. Now it is 35 new deaths across the country from coronavirus in the last 24 hours, bringing the total now up to 6,597. The average age of those people passing away was around about 79 years of age, of which 96% of them had underlying health conditions or problems, or were over the age of 70. But also, to put that in context, the average death rate in 2019 was approximately 329 cases a day of people passing away before coronavirus ever raised its head. So there you go, can put that in context. Once again, Zakynthos has only had one death this year, and that was in February, and that was a 70-year-old lady who passed away from complications of coronavirus. So at the moment, when we look at the critical cases, they have leapt a little bit. Critical cases across Greece at the moment is, last time I reported you, 431 cases. That is now up to 449, of which 312 are male and 137 are female. The average age of those people in critical condition is 68 years of age. 86% of them have underlying health issues, are or over the age of 70 years of age. Right, so there you go. That's it for the stats. Right, today's news. I've got some very interesting news as well. The European Medicines Agency has stated that it has been evaluating the Russian vaccine called Sputnik V. Now, if it's approved, Russia has confirmed that it could supply the EU with 50 million doses of the vaccine from June onwards, and an investigation is actually underway at the moment. Now, we've heard about this vaccine before, but I just want to quickly talk about another story from Israel. Now, this story has been doing the rounds for several weeks now. The mainstream media are steering away from it, because understandably they're kind of nervous about it. And basically it begins with an article that was published on February the 11th, which was then later updated on March the 2nd, and asks why the mortality rate in Israel on their official data seems to be much higher amongst vaccinated than unvaccinated in the first few weeks after the first vaccine doses were done. Now, there has not been yet any official response to this analysis from the Israeli government or from the Israeli health ministry, although they were contacted. So at the moment, it seems that vaccinations over in Israel, people that were vaccinated were not actually, who were contracting the virus, were not actually pulling through in the way that they expected them to. And that story has been suppressed at the moment. If you want further information on that story, the articles are available on Lockdown Skeptic. I'll put a link into that for you to have a read, and you make your mind up from there as well. Also, as well, this was a story that with TSKINOPEMPTI and everything going on, an interesting little story about one rule for one set of people and another rule for another set of people. According to news reports on Thursday, a New Democracy MP was fined on Wednesday for violating restrictions on movement relating to the pandemic during an inspection in central Athens. Messina MP Miltos Charimolis was issued a fine of €300 for being in a hotel lobby in an upmarket district of central Athens. Now, only registered guests are allowed to be in hotels during the lockdowns. That is one of the rules. Now, this New Democracy said in a press release that the General Secretary of its Parliament group, Ioannis Burgess, severely reprimanded the lawmaker over the violation. Now, speaking to the news website Protothema, Koreanis said that he was in a meeting with a journalist and that both of them were wearing masks. Anyway, the inspectors slapped the hotel with a €3,000 fine and ordered its closure for 15 days after it was discovered that these guys were in there. Plus, as well, they also fined people in the hotel lobby for actually breaking the smoking ban as well, and they were all slapped with a €500 fine as well. So it would have been interesting to see what would have happened to those people staying in that hotel in all innocence, who've probably been told, you've got to move now because you've had an MP downstairs who's been talking, who shouldn't be in here, and you've also had people smoking, puff, puff away, and they've been shut down. The interesting thing about that story is this. If you remember the Prime Minister, Mr. Mitsotakis, 2 occasions not wearing a mask out with the mountain bike riders, got away with that. No reprimand there. They didn't even talk about it for 2 weeks in the mainstream media. And then, of course, we had the famous luncheon on the island where him and all his cronies were there, supposedly inspecting the vaccinations on the island, where they had a very low rate of infection. And again, that was all kind of brushed under the carpet. I didn't see any fines being issued there to people. So it's, as always, the lower you're down the food chain, the more likely you are to get hit hard. And it's nice to see in some ways that the person who's messed up is one of New Democracy's own, shall we say. And we'll see what the fallout is from that. Anyway, another story as well, as you're probably aware, we've had earthquakes here in Greece, and they've been taking the centre stage at the moment. Fearful of returning to their homes, thousands of people in central Greece spent the night outdoors late Wednesday after a powerful earthquake that was felt across the region, which damaged homes and public buildings. The shallow magnitude was 6 on the Richter scale, and that was near the city of Larissa. One man was hurt, so we are getting reports of people being injured. However, there were no other serious injuries reported. Now, officials reported that structural damage, mainly to old houses and buildings that saw walls collapse or crack. One of them was a primary school built in 1938 in the village of Damis, where 63 students were attending their class at the time that the quake hit. The teachers said that the teachers kept their cool and the pupils stuck to the emergency drill, and everyone got out okay. Now, the headmaster, Georgios Letos, said on a video call with the Greek Prime Minister, Mr. Mitsotakis, that the building will now be condemned and that he needs a new school now. So, Mr. Takis, let's see, put your hand in your pocket and sort that out. Anyway, the good thing is that the army was sent in. The Greek army is there. They've set up tents and field kitchens at a nearby soccer field, and local officials urged people to remain outside their homes until they could be inspected. Anyway, a series of powerful aftershocks up to 5.2 in magnitude kept residents on edge. And now, one thing that you will notice when you have one major quake, you are then going to get aftershocks, and sometimes the aftershocks can be a little bit below the major quake. And they can obviously frighten people greatly. I remember when we had one here a few years ago, when Kefalonia had its major quake, we were still feeling those quakes for quite a while afterwards. And I know in Kefalonia, they stopped counting after 1,000, I remember, on that quake. So again, I know what these people will be going through there, and people will literally be sleeping in their cars outside and not going in their homes. And they won't want to leave their areas here in case somebody tries to take advantage. And there were reports of looting and stuff like that going on during that. However, there's been no reports of that at the moment happening in this area here. Damis resident Vasilis Morris said, have you seen how the trees move and the wind blows? That's how the houses have moved. He's describing what was happening there. He's also said, I stood like a statue. I wondered whose house would fall, the neighbour's house, my house. I've never felt anything like this before. And basically they hadn't had an earthquake in that location since the 18th century, basically way back. Anyway, the quake struck at 12:15 on the day before yesterday. According to Athens Geodynamic Institute, it was also felt in neighbouring Albania and also North Macedonia and as far north as Kosovo and Montenegro, way outside of Greece. Now, the interesting thing is that the Turkish foreign minister, Melut Cavusoglu, I think that's how you pronounce that, he phoned his Greek counterpart, Nikos Dentis, and conveyed his solidarity and offered assistance if needed. And according to officials from the two neighbouring countries, which have been obviously long-term rivals, that's the way the press have written it, the foreign minister of Albania, Alta Haluk, also called Dennis and also expressed support as well. Anyway, in Athens, seismologist Vasily Karases told reporters that the quake originated in a fault line in an area that has historically not produced tremors of this much larger magnitude than on Wednesdays. Anyway, he did say in the post-quake activity appeared normal for so far, but experts were obviously going to monitor the situation. And as I said, the earthquake has just had an estimated depth of just 8 kilometers, that's 5 miles, and was one of the reasons why it was felt so strongly. So the shallower it is, the more that you will feel it on the surface. And once again, just to remind you, we had an earthquake here back in 1953, and the magnitude of that was 7, and that literally destroyed Zante town. It did a lot of damage in Kefalonia. In fact, a lot of Kefalonians actually refused to go back to their original villages, and so second villages were built, and so you have a lot of ghost villages there, which basically were the villages from the actual earthquake that people never returned to. And the interesting thing was that Kefalonia at the time had a population of something like 130,000 people on the island, and then after the earthquake a lot of Kefalonians left and the population went down to somewhere in the region of about 38,000 people on the island. So that's the kind of the damage that the earthquake done for Kefalonia back in 1953, as well for Zakynthos as well, where Zakynthos town fell down. However, from that day onwards, all buildings and structures were built basically with that in mind. And that's the reason why now when we get tremors and things like that, we don't worry as much, because obviously our houses are designed to withstand it. But you never know. We may get some quake sometime where the houses are not. But at the moment, we're in a lot better position than we were way back in those days. Anyway, the local fire department in that area said it had received multiple calls on Wednesday to deal with medical emergencies, helping patients with various chronic conditions get to hospital and access of all already affected by the pandemic. And they also had special measures placed in on them where they were they didn't have to implement some of the lockdown measures. So obviously the emergency services could obviously perform their duties, and volunteers and people could obviously get out and about and help assist, etc., with trying to clear up the mess without having to worry about restrictions in movement because of COVID. Anyway, so that story at the moment is that we're keeping an eye on that. Just a quick reminder as well that there was another earthquake here last October in Greece, in the eastern Greek Aegean islands of Samos and nearby Turkish coast killed. 2 high school students were killed on the island of Samos. You might remember a wall collapsed on them, and at least 75 people were killed in Turkey. The nice thing, the good thing, shall I say, that came out of that was the cooperation between Turkey and Greece in trying to help with disaster situations on both sides. And it looks like that mentality might still be there between Greece and Turkey, and also Albania as well, in people working together in a time of crisis especially with something like an earthquake. It focuses people, and old rivalries are forgotten about because it's the people and not the politics at the end of the day. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that story. We'll see how that bears out as well as time goes on. And finally, this could be a little bit of good news for some people. All right. Today, according to the Ministry of Labour and Social Affairs here in Greece, there are going to be payments being given out of 260.52 million euros, which is going to be paid to 611,618 beneficiaries. Now, the amount of this, an amount from that of 254.9 million euros concerns payment of special purpose compensation to 532,203 employees whose employment contracts were suspended in February. So those people who kind of lost their jobs in February, you're going to get a bit of money come to you today. That's when they start paying out. Also as well, 312 million euros is being paid in special compensation to 8,772 beneficiaries for the suspension of employment contracts in January. So if you'd lost your job in January, you're going to get some more money as well. But the one that's caught my eye, and I haven't got a clue what this is, but it's interesting. We sat doing the maths this morning, Jane and I. An amount of approximately 2.4 million euros concerns leave allowances for 71,092 employees who have joined the Synensa mechanism. Now, what that is, I haven't got a clue, but it works out at about 408 euros each. So you're going to get some money as well. And finally, an amount of 55,686 euros concerning the payment of special purpose compensation for 116 beneficiaries in the context of the process of submitting unilateral responsibility declaration by employees with the right of mandatory re-employment in the tourism sector. That is going to be paid as well. However, that, again, when we did the maths on that, that works out about 408 euros as well. When wondering if that could be payment for people who may have been employed last year, lost their worked, but paid their stamp, but didn't get any compensation because they'd fallen through the cracks. And Jane was one of those, although Jane has at the moment not been told that she's going to be getting anything. So again, if you think you might be entitled to something, go and have a word with your accountant and ask your accountant just to clarify about these amounts that are being paid out by the Labour Department, because you never know, you might be one of those that is entitled to getting some money back. And now at this time of the year, people would be looking towards getting back to work in May, maybe. And again, now we still don't know what is going to transpire. And everybody is obviously having to be very careful with their money. So you never know, you might be entitled to something. So ask your an accountant. Don't forget you pay your accountant. That's what his job is to do. He's supposed to look after you, not look after the government, and see if maybe you might be entitled to something. Right, let's have a quick look and see who's tuning in today. Thank you for all those people yesterday as well who were tuning in, and words of encouragement. And thank you for the requests for today's show as well. I know people have already been sending me requests, either publicly or privately, and they will be popped into the show this afternoon, 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock UK time. And then from 5 o'clock UK time till 7 o'clock, it's my dance anthem show, which has a carnival flavour. And thank you to Ben Warner, speaking to him yesterday on Beats Radio. He loves all that kind of music, and he's looking forward to listening to that show as well. So that is me. 2 broadcasts today, so it's a busy day actually. Anyway, Emma Marku is watching, nice to see you. Rachel Hansen is also watching as well. Shane Bowen is watching as well, nice to have you tuning in, buddy. How is Exmoor? How are the buzzards? Andrew the Fridge Watkins over there in Wales is tuning in. Gaz Collins, me old Raffridge buddy, nice to see you tuning in as well. Natalie Hunt tuning in, there's a new name. Lindsay Lamb also checking out. Amanda Gregory is watching. Read her weather forecast, fantastic. fantastic job there, Amanda, as always. Kevin Bell's tuning in. Shane Bowen says, Galimera Ginge, still waiting for my burger. I'm sorry, mate. The buzzards obviously ate it when they came over to collect it, all right, and bring it back to you. There you go. Also, as well, Catherine Ling is tuning in as well. Nice to have you tuning in. Iswell Davis is looking in. Matt Williams is also tuned in. Jerry Coyle, nice to see you as well. Tula is also tuning in. Nice to see you looking in, Tula. Also, Julie Meldrum. Big Al Thompson. Oh, I've not seen you about in a while. Nice to see you tuning in as well. Raina Pete Dillon tuning in as well. Hillary Rogers, nice to see you, Hillary. You've been quiet these last few days. I've missed you. What have you been up to? Have you been partying up there secretly? Because you know you're not supposed to be doing it in public. There you go. Also, Hillary Rogers is looking in as well. Larry Smith was tuning in. Heather Flynn, nice to see you here. Donna Beard as well. All right then, Donna Beard. How you doing? She says, good morning, Ginge. Oh, Danielle Rogers is tuning in. Ah, lovely to see you looking in, Danielle. Nice having that long chat with you yesterday. We'll see what the season brings. Things are going to happen. It's going to be exciting. That's all I can say. Anyway, Nick Haviland is watching as well. Nice to see you there, buddy. Also, Galimera from my old mate Dave Cramp. He says, wishing you a cracking weekend. Thank you very much for that. Lyndon is also watching from Wales. I hope you're doing well, Lyndon. The allotment is looking good. The lovely Jean Bolton is tuning in as well. Keith Jean Bolton is tuning in. Lovely to see you. How is York today? Hope the weather is nice there today. Also, Dennis from, what do you call it? From Michaelos is tuning in as well. Nice to see you looking in, buddy. Julie Meldrum says, morning. Oh, Rossi over there in Australia is tuning in. The only place he can get news about what's happening in the world is to tune in to me over here in Greece. So nice to see you there, Rossi. Hope you're doing well, mate. I'm not sure if... Rossi, you might know Sean Bowen, who tunes in. I'm not sure if he was on about, Rossi took him up to see Bockley Hill one time with his partner and said they had a great day up there in the little cafes around by the castle. And I'm just wondering, I only ever know one Rossi, and there is only one Rossi in Greece. So I wondered if it was you. So anyway... have a chat with him. Let's find out. Anyway, Susie Angus is also tuning in. Nice to see you here as well. And Raina Pete Dillon says, top of the morning, Ginge. Thank you, mate. Top of the morning to you as well, sir. Philip Ellis, Delia's tuning in. Emma Marku says, morning, Ginge. Thank you. Goodness, it's Friday here. Have a lovely day. My God, it's Friday. Where has this week gone? This week it's just seemed to have shot by. And also I'm finding that I think March at the moment is also shooting by very quickly as well. Right. Also, big shout out to Christine Wildridge. Nice to have you tuning in as well. Right, that's it from me. Just to remind you, my live show going out at 3 o'clock UK time for 2 hours. And then my show from the UK going out from 5 o'clock. It might just start a little bit later. That is to give you time to whisk away and then go and join the other station on beachradio.co.uk. So there might be just a little bit of leeway in timing, but as soon as I finish at what would be 5 o'clock your time here, which would be 5 o'clock my time here. No, 7 o'clock my time here. Then obviously allow a few minutes, and then on my show, which is pre-recorded, kicks off on Beats Radio. It's all music that is like carnival inspired, dance kind of anthems, rumba, salsa, all sorts of stuff like that. And I'm really quite proud of this show because it just puts us in mind for what we should be enjoying at this time of year. But with everything going on with coronavirus and all the restrictions that we're in, we're obviously not, all right. And I'll be waiting to see if there's any feedback from yesterday. Was there any civil disobedience going on the island with people or not? I'll be curious to find out if that's going on. And Jane and I are getting our documentation together so we can do a trip to Lidl for our weekly shop if we're allowed and we're not turned away at the door. Anyway, I'll leave it with you. You have a good time. I'll keep my ear close to the ground and have a great time. Oh, big shout out to old Tim the King over there in Oxford. Morning, buddy. Morning to you as well, fella. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll catch you later. Ta-ra. Bye-bye. Oh, put your request in as well below.